Now you know we do a lot of silly shit on the Stoner Jesus Show. A lot of funny shit, a lot of silly shit. But now it is time. When the silliness comes to an end and politics and serious issues come to the Stoner Jesus Show. It's a political segment that we like to call Pothead Punditry.
Our nation stands on the brink. Every day brings new federal encroachments that take our freedoms and strangle our will. There comes a time when the silliness must take a back seat to the serious issues of the day. The time is now. It's time to fight back and reclaim the freedom that is rightfully ours. It is time to discuss the serious issues of the day with Stoner Jesus' Pothead Punditry.
Hells yeah, welcome everybody to Pothead Punditry, episode 26. If you were listening live on Spreaker on stonerjesus.net, or later on iTunes or the podcast on stonerjesus.net, or on our YouTube channel, which is linked at stonerjesus.net, spread the word. Especially go share the YouTube videos that we make of these segments, especially the audio with like a picture. But anyway, the point is to get to a new audience, to a broader audience. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. We talk about serious shit on the Stoner Jesus Show. Tonight, I'll play you a little clip. And this is a video you can get on YouTube, so it has the visuals and shit, but it also works, as an audio clip. The 25 craziest things that the U.S. government spends money on. Now, as it points out, and as a lot of people point out, when you add all this shit up, it's a small fraction of the budget. First of all, it's a waste of money. And any small fraction of wasting money is bullshit. It's not their fucking money. It's the taxpayers' money. But as the video points out in the end, and as the audio will as well on the show, most of the budget goes to A, Social Security, which is fine. But the problem is, and you can go look this up on Google, well, there used to be like 20 people paying for every one retiree. Now there's like 3 people paying for every one retiree. And soon it'll be 1 for 1, and it'll be less than 1 for 1. And when that happens, there's no more Social Security. People my age, we're not going to see it. You're not going to see a fucking dime in Social Security unless something drastic happens. There has to be a better return for money. You don't have to sink the whole fucking Social Security thing into the stock market or whatever, but you can do better than what the government does. Invest in fucking gold. Fucking old people will be rich. Gold 5 years ago was like $500. Now it's like $2,000. Silver 5 years ago was like $5. Now it's $35 an ounce. You can do better with that money. And there's a lot of other places we can spend. Defense is also another huge chunk of the budget. We got these kids raised on Call of Duty and shit like that, which is fine, but there's studies that show kids who play like Call of Duty and shit like that are 40% more likely to go into the military. They don't think nothing of getting behind the sight and shooting some fucking brown people just because they were told to. They don't know why. They have no idea. They're told, here's some brown people that hate us. It's 137 fucking degrees. They're the reason you're here. You're pissed off. Go put a bullet in them. They're the ones killing your brothers and sisters. We shouldn't be fucking there in the first place. What the fuck are we still in Iraq for? And we're pulling out. We're fucking pulling out as bullshit. We have a fucking embassy there with 17,000, in Baghdad alone, with 17,000 quote-unquote contractors. Fuck, anyway. The point is, a lot can be saved in government, and there's better ways to do Social Security than the way it is now, which is going bankrupt. It's fucking simple as that. As I said, you go to YouTube and search 25 craziest things the U.S. government spends money on, or something to that effect, then you will find what I'm about to play you for Pothead Punditry. And after that, We will talk about going across the seas and sending our troops overseas to kill brown people, because that's what we do. We're in a state of perpetual war, and we will be for the rest of our lifetimes. The military-industrial complex, and don't, those you say, oh, it's a fucking conspiracy theory. Bullshit. The term military-industrial complex was coined by one Dwight David Eisenhower, two-term president of the United States, who was also the supreme commander of NATO when we invaded Europe and defeated the Nazis. If anyone knows about the military-industrial complex, it was Dwight Eisenhower. And he was the one that first brought it to the public's attention. And since World War II and the Cold War with the Soviet Union, we've been building up a fucking arsenal non-stop. And since at least October of 2001, we've been in a constant state of warfare somewhere, and we always will be during our lifetimes. I don't care how old you are. There's going to be kids dying in some foreign country for no fucking reason, just so we can build more bombs and more planes and line the pockets of the motherfuckers, the Build-A-Burger Group, and the Council on Foreign Relations, and all those cocksuckers, and the CEOs of Boeing and all the other motherfuckers that make wars so they can kill and maim fucking innocent children. You know what? Some estimates we killed over 1 million innocent civilians in Iraq during the fucking war? Are you kidding me? Hitler's evil because he killed Jewish people, but somehow we're cool because we just killed a bunch of Arabs for no fucking reason. And some of you may be saying, "Oh, Senator Jesus, you're just an anti-war hippie." Bullshit. March 2003, when we rolled in Iraq, I was right there watching CNN. I thought that was the baddest ass shit ever. They had weapons of mass destruction. They were trying to kill us. I was like, fuck yeah, man. Let's go there and kill them bastards. Shows you what hindsight does for you. Shows you what 9 fucking years of uselessness and people dying does for you. Anyway, I keep getting off topic. I really haven't talked about war a whole lot during the Pothead Punditry series, which you can get on YouTube. We're over 8 hours now of me just sitting here ranting about fucking politics like this. Fucking check it out. But anyway, 25 craziest things the U.S. government spends money on. Check out this list. It is kind of humorous. I mean, unless you're a taxpayer, boy, you're getting rammed up the fucking ass. You know what I'm saying? No lube, no dinner first. They're just cramming it right up your ass. Pothead Punditry. See what I mean when I say uncensored, hardcore politics and comedy? That's what I'm talking about. This ain't the fucking McNeil Lehrer News Hour, home skillet. It's the Stoner Jesus Show, Pothead Punditry, episode 26. This is the 25 craziest things the U.S. government, federal government, spends money on.
Number 25. Since 2008, the federal government has allocated almost $3 million towards researching how gamers engage in quote-unquote creative collaboration online. How do they do this? By paying people to play video games. Who needs college anyway? Number 24. Over the past several years, the government, through the University of Puerto Rico, has spent almost $500,000 annually to study and document the social habits and behaviors of male prostitutes in Vietnam. Moving on, number 23, pancakes. In 2011, nearly $800,000 of taxpayer money went towards subsidizing an IHOP restaurant in an allegedly underserved neighborhood of Washington, D.C. Apparently, Columbia Heights falls into that category, but hey, rich people need pancakes too. Number 22, every year the Department of Energy, of all places, manages to waste over $2 million simply by failing to turn off the lights. That's enough to power 3,200 homes for an entire year. Number 21, as good as the United States is at handling its own budget, in 2011, roughly $2.6 million went towards parliamentary strengthening in Eastern Europe. In other words, we taught them to balance their checkbooks. Number 20. Every year, the IRS spends nearly $1 million to store unused furniture. And the last time we checked, they had over 20,000 items in their inventory. If they could learn to save money the same way they save desk chairs, we'd be getting somewhere. Number 19. In 2009, the Federal Aviation Administration spent $5 million to send 3,600 employees to a 3-week-long conference in Atlanta. Supposedly, it was necessary in order to promote harmony in the workplace. Number 18. Roses are red, violets are blue, I'll spend your money on rhymes at the zoo. That's right, last year the government spent just under $1 million posting snippets of poetry in zoos around the country. Number 17. Paper. Each year, government agencies rack up close to $1 billion in unnecessary printing expenses. Who reads those documents anyway? Number 16. Last year, the Philadelphia Housing Authority, an office funded almost completely by the federal government, used almost $1 million of its budget to pay off 4 female plaintiffs who filed suits against its director for sexual harassment. Number 15. Some of these will literally make you cry. In 2010, taxpayers forked over $90,000 to help promote the Vidalia onion brand in conjunction with the new Shrek movie. Number 14. Last year, the National Science Foundation spent $250,000 studying the reasons why political candidates make vague statements. Maybe next year they can spend some more money studying why our government spends so much money on such vague research. Number 13. Have you ever wondered what happens to all those neon signs when they flicker their last? Well, wonder no more. In 2010, almost $2 million were allocated towards building a neon sign graveyard just outside Las Vegas. Number 12. While America's youth fall behind the rest of the world in terms of education, the government has a solution: advanced technology. Last year, almost $100,000 went towards purchasing iPads for kindergartners in Maine. Number 11. In 2011, upwards of $700,000 was spent studying the greenhouse gas emissions of dairy farms. The conclusion? Cow burps produce a lot of methane. Number 10. Each year, the government spends almost $500,000 maintaining the office of the former Speaker of the House. In spite of the fact that he's almost never there, this covers his phone bill, cable, and even payments on a leased car. Number 9. In 2010, the government spent nearly $1.5 million renovating 36 toilets in Denali National Park, Alaska. That translates to over $40,000 per toilet. Number 8. In one of the stranger acts of budget allocation history, the federal government set aside $100,000 for a celebrity chef fruit roadshow in Indonesia. After some careful research, we're still not entirely sure what that even means. Number 7. As you've already seen, the government spends a good amount of money doing research, and over the past few years, at least a portion of that has gone towards observing monkeys as they throw poop at each other. We eagerly anticipate the findings. Number 6. Every year, government agencies spend over $4 million shuttling federal employees on nearly empty buses running along overlapping routes through the streets of Washington, D.C. A recent report found that half of the existing routes could be eliminated with no change in service, but unfortunately, none of the agencies are willing to share. Number 5. In yet another groundbreaking study, the government spent almost $500,000 trying to determine the trustworthiness of tweets. $500,000. Number 4. In 2011, the United States spent nearly $18 million on foreign aid programs to its biggest sovereign lender. This included $2.5 million for social services and $4.4 million to help improve its environment. Number 3. Every year, the government delivers over $120 million worth of benefit checks to deceased federal employees. It's literally sending money to dead people. Which brings us to number 2. Opinions. Although this isn't a budget item, it is an important point. Everyone has one, especially concerning how federal tax dollars should be spent, whether it's monkey poop, pancakes, or toilets. So, as funny as some of these can be, their importance is a matter of opinion, and their slice of the federal debt is absolutely negligible. Which leads us to number 1. What do we really spend money on? You'll notice from the chart that almost 75% of the federal budget goes towards Social Security, Medicare, interest payments, and defense. The other quarter gets divided up among the remaining departments of the government. So, at the end of the day, a good chunk of your paycheck is going to 2 things: insurance and guns.
Word. Welcome back to Pothead Punditry, episode number 25. We talk about war. Of course, we're talking about places like Iran. From the Associated Press, the UN nuclear agency on Wednesday acknowledged its renewed failure in trying to probe suspicions that Tehran has worked secretly on atomic arms in a statement issued shortly after an Iranian general warned of a preemptive strike against any nation that threatens Iran. The double signs of defiance reflect a continued Iranian determination not to bow to demands that it diffuse suspicions about its nuclear activities, despite rapidly growing international sanctions imposed over its refusal to signal it is ready to compromise. Where have we heard this before? Replace the word nuclear with weapons of mass destruction, and you have Iraq. Here's a big difference. First of all, Iran is not Iraq. Their military is much more robust than the aging, failed Iraqi military. More importantly than that, if they shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a little piece of water that enters the Persian Gulf, they will cut off 40% of the world's oil supply. This will devastate not only our economy, most of the economies in the West. We're talking gas, $8, $9 a gallon, which will totally fucking ruin people. That's the real. I mean, people are like fucking pawns in chess to these people. But they're not the ones going to be paying $8, $9 a gallon for gas to get to work or wherever they have to go. They don't care. But if we don't start dropping bombs on somebody else, we can't build more. That's the point. The article continues, with the International Atomic Energy Agency already failing to dent Iranian stonewalling in talks that ended just 3 weeks ago, hopes had been muted that the latest effort would be any more successful even before the IAEA issued its statement. So you think about Iran, and just as it was Iraq, Iraq had a reason to overblow and make people believe that they had weapons of mass destruction because it would protect them. In their case, it didn't protect them. They got reamed fucking royally. But Iran feels even... we don't know. We have no fucking idea if they're going to have nuclear weapons or not. It really don't make much of a fucking difference. What are they going to do with them? Israel is a couple hundred miles away. They have nuclear weapons. If Iran launches a nuclear strike against anybody, any ally of Israel, Israel's going to fucking flatten the country. It's always been the case with nuclear weapons. The point is, it's being used as an excuse to go into Iran. A lot of fucking oil in Iran. A lot of people to kill. A lot of bullets, a lot of bombs, a lot of politicians going on TV telling how fucking awesome they are because we're killing people. Continuing with Iran. Iran threatens preemptive action. If you want to read these stories, they're on drudgereport.com. This is an MSNBC story. Iran threatens preemptive action amid nuclear tensions. Iran would take preemptive action against its enemies if it felt national interests were endangered. The deputy head of the Islamic Republic's armed forces was quoted by a semi-official news agency as saying Tuesday. Continuing my point on that, they have to front, as people in the West would say, because they don't want to be invaded. They want people to think that, oh, we're going to fuck you up. But as I said, closing the Strait of Hormuz seems relatively easy for them. It's not a lot of water. Could we bust through it? Probably. And then there's war. Muhammad Hijazi told the Far News Agency, our strategy now is that if we feel our enemies want to endanger Iran's national interests and want to decide to do that, we will act without waiting for their actions. And that's what's going to happen. It's like it did in Vietnam. Do you know how Vietnam started? We faked a North Vietnamese attack, and then we attacked them. We attacked North Vietnam for no fucking reason. There was they call a false flag attack. And Dick Cheney, in his own fucking memoir, admits that's what he wanted to do with Iran. But he was overruled. That's how Hitler invaded Poland. He had agents inside Poland launch some fucking rockets or whatever Well, they didn't have rockets at that point. They did fucking whatever. Started some kind of phony invasion as an excuse for the Nazis to roll into Poland. That's how Vietnam started, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. You go look that up. We faked the Gulf of Tonkin incident as an excuse to go to war with Vietnam. Continuing the article, Iran announced air defense war games to practice protecting nuclear and other sensitive sites, the latest in a series of military maneuvers viewed as a message to the West that Iran is prepared both to defend against itself against an armed strike and to retaliate. The U.S. and Israel have not ruled out military action against Iran's nuclear program. The official news agency IRNA said the 4-day air defense war games, dubbed Sarala, or God's Revenge, were taking place in the south of the country and involve anti-aircraft batteries, radar, and warplanes. The drill will be held over 73,000 square miles near the port of Bashur, the site of Iran's lone nuclear power plant. Iran has held multiple air, land, and sea maneuvers in recent months as tensions increase. You get the point. On and on and on. The fucking wars. You get the point. You see the point loud and clear. Or you hear it loud and clear. Whatever. Wow. We've been going on a long time tonight. That was a long-ass Pothead Punditry segment. That's Pothead Punditry 26. Go share the YouTube videos. People, spread the word about what's really going on in this country.